because every planet acts like an intelligence inside of you, but that intelligence can be very conscious, or it can be sort of ignorant and unconscious. You know, we could say something can express itself in a shadow way, darker way, or a very light and positive or beneficial way for the world. And so, so I started studying, you know, with my parents' charts, and then over the last, you know, 8 years, it's my professional practice. I've written 2 books now. Teach a lot of online courses and travel and teach and do readings primarily. So in terms of why I started to care so much about parenting is I'm not a parent, but I honor and, you know, respect every parent that's sitting here right now and every parent in the world, because I think it's the hardest job in the world, but it can be the most rewarding job in the world. And I think that most parents probably want every tool they can have to help them guide their children and to really be totally involved and to get out of the way at the same time. You know, so the kids can mature into the fullness of their expressions in the most positive way. So I realized that we have a map here, and most parents want a map, some kind of instruction manual. And so in my own life, when I look back at my chart, you know, I'm a musician. I play guitar and I do a lot of composition with piano, strings, and things like that. But I didn't grow up that way. And it kind of came later in my teens that I chose to start working on music. But there wasn't really a value system in my family. And when I started to look into the planet Mercury, which we're going to talk about here, the planet Mercury represents how we think, the patterns of perception inside of us. You know, you hear that, you know, some kids are very kinesthetic, right? Or some kids, you know, they learn through caring for things, taking care of things, nurturing things, right? Some kids are very emotional, very sensitive. Some are very fantastic. Well, Mercury shows us how our mind operates. And in my chart, the planet Mercury is in the sign of Taurus. And we've been in this Taurus season right now. You know, it's all about the earth and being in nature, being in the garden, and dance and music. It's a springtime energy. That's what Taurus represents. Well, that wasn't part of my upbringing at all. I didn't have any nature. We never went hiking or camping or connected in any way with the earth element. It was very suburban upbringing. And I also didn't have any music. We didn't listen to a lot of music. It wasn't like, it just wasn't appreciated in my family. And so I've recognized, you know, when I sit at the piano now and I don't read music, but that there's like a composer inside of me who is sort of delayed in his development. And it's sometimes hard for me. It sometimes feels like a wound. And I don't want those kinds of wounds for the next generation. I want to give parents the tools so they can provide the languages of possibility and potential for their kids from the very beginning, from day one, when they're being imprinted as even a little infant. And so I don't regret or resent my parents or anything like that, but I also know that they weren't working with the tools that are available now. So in the last couple of years, I've also been integrating, in addition to astrology, a system called Human Design, which is a channeled system that came through in the mid-'80s that actually links together 4 different systems: astrology, the I Ching, which is the 64 hexagrams, the Taoist oracle that was 5,000 years old, and then the Tree of Life from the Kabbalah, the mystical Judaic tradition, and also the Hindu chakra system. And it really is a system that shows us the patterns of energy in our genes. It's incredibly insightful and shows where we're working very consistently in a defined and reliable way in our life, and also where we're being influenced or conditioned by our parents, by our children, by people in our environment, or by situations around us. So we're going to talk about that system in the second half tonight. The first we'll talk about astrology. So I want to kind of introduce everyone to what's possible here and go into what other parts of charts, besides knowing someone's sun sign, you can use when you're a parent. And if you feel inspired, you know that we can talk more, we can set up readings and things like that. I've developed a coaching program for parents as well, because there's too much information. You know, like sitting for 90 minutes is not going to cover the soul of a new child or something like that. So, but any bits of insight and any of these pieces that you can take from today or readings in the future will be helpful to raising these children.